is it not? It's not mandated at all.
What do you mean?
Like, is there a limit, a percentage above which?
No, that's what is coming up. Is basically we reached that ceiling.
We have reached. We have to deal with it now.
Right.
Do we just extend it again and make it worse, or do we actually force ourselves to become more lean?
Well, the thing of it is that our debt, as compared to like how much money we take in, so like GDP compared to all that stuff,
fluctuates.
Yeah, it's not really that much higher than it's been after other periods of war that we've had, and like we didn't really raise taxes to pay for the wars that we've been in, so it makes sense why
we just
we're
borrowed to pay for it.
And the idea of raising the debt is just saying that we promise to pay the debt that
eventually,
right,
at some point.
And like any bank is going to lend, like, because the United States is a pretty reliable entity to pay.
Well, we keep printing money, of course we are.
Right, they know that we'll pay it back, and it's the more they lend us, the more interest they make. So really, creditors don't care if we keep raising our debt.
The problem is, it seems like it's a temporal problem. Like, we know we'll pay it back, but there's no bill coming to their house every month like there is coming to our house, being like, you have to pay this much now.
Right.
So this is going to be an interesting discussion, I think.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, the idea is that the United States will never end, so we don't have to worry about,
Roman Empire ended.
Well,
I don't know. I think we're also full of ourselves. And I see what you're saying, Andrew. I totally see what you're saying, and it's hard to imagine a power like our country going through a crisis. Right, exactly. But that is not so hard to imagine, because look what happened to Europe. Look what happened to the Eurozone crisis. So, and I know very little about economics, politics, less about politics than economics. But I also can kind of remember when my mom taught me when I was like 10 years old about cutting my lawn and saving the money in a piggy bank, and then only spending what I had. And if I had to borrow, making sure it got paid back reliably in a quick manner. So, interesting discussions to follow, I think. There's something to chew on. So that's a $100 bill, not the scale. That's 100 of the $100 bills, not the scale either. But that's 10,000 bucks. So, get a look at this. That's a stack of those $10,000 stacks. That's what $1 million looks like to scale. If you got a 6-foot guy standing next to it, that's what $1 million in hundreds. $1 million in hundreds looks like that. Okay, so keep that image in your mind. That's $1 million bucks. Okay, estimate. What's that? That's the last one was $1 million bucks.
A billion?
Give me that. Close, damn close, Andrew, damn close. Like we say $1 billion. Yeah. It's 100 million. It should pop up. There it goes. 100 million. Billion's a great estimate. That's you're only 10 times off. So $1 billion would actually look like that. That's $1 billion. 10 of those pallets. So if you actually have a forklift, you can move these things around. So that's $1 billion. So remember, friends. Remember, that was $1 million. With me so far? Million, and there's $1 billion. Now these numbers they get thrown around quite a bit in the news media. We're spending millions, we're spending billions. But the number Andrew's talking about, and I think we're all kind of referring to here, is trillion. It's not million, it's trillion. Try to imagine in your mind what a trillion looks like in this image. Okay. Good. It is literally 1,000 of these. Can you envision what that looks like in your mind? This is almost too hard to estimate. That's a trillion. Find the dude. You see him over there? Right? And the pallets are too tall. They're standing too tall there. Just so you know. Now, that's $1 trillion. So when you hear these words, I almost wish the words weren't million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion. I wish they took 1,000 times as long to say. So you have some indication of how big it is. When I hear politicians talk about the great amount, $2.5 million they're spending on some federal program, I'm like, please, don't embarrass yourself and everybody else. $2.5 million is nothing when you're spending that. But actually, they're not spending that. That, right there, that was the national debt as of 2009. I haven't updated it since then, because I keep forgetting to. I'm sure did anybody know the number of the national debt-ish? Is it 14, 15 trillion? So what's this? This is that's 11 trillion. So whatever it is now, stack a few more pallets of bills on there. But of course we know that money doesn't actually exist. I mean, it doesn't have to get printed. It's all just credit, which is, I think, again, my little economic issue is, I think if we had to base this on something real, we wouldn't have many of the issues we had. But I remember I used to bartend, and I got a tip one day, $1 tip, and it looked like counterfeit money, like Monopoly money. It was kind of blue ink on it. It was green and blue, and I picked it up. What the hell is this? and it was a silver certificate. It said payable, it was supposed to be recalled and destroyed from like the 50s or something like that. And it said payable to, you know, bearer $1 in silver. I'm like, what the hell is this? And my boss is like, oh my God, you could walk into a bank and demand $1 worth of silver with that. I'm like, I could? And then I realized I probably couldn't because it was supposed to be destroyed. But you know, you think about the whole idea of the gold standard, the silver standard, and now there is no basis of the money except the money itself is the basis. Faith in the government. And this goes back to Andrew's question, which is a good question, and it's an interesting discussion going on the plane, isn't it? About how much faith should we have? I don't know. I mean, I love government services. We all do. We all rely on things like roads to be plowed and, you know, clean water and things that are, but at the same time, you have to wonder when we spend in individual ways in control, and when we're penalized for not being in control, it makes you wonder who holds government accountable. Please, Andrew, yeah.
So you could add a really messed up political twist to that and show how much of it's defense spending.
Oh, defense spending. No. Hang on. You guys will actually do this in this class, believe it or not. I'll just fast forward for you real quickly here. COCC. There's a problem with that, Andrew, and we're going to get into this with your, like I said, with your class. There is a bit of an issue with this. If you go to your schedule page, your very last project is an Excel primer. When you're going to get into Excel, I'm going to use Excel quite a bit in this class where I'm doing graphs, and we'll do it today actually. And one of the graphs I'm going to have you guys come up with is down here somewhere. There it is right there. Okay, I'm going to make you do two pie charts based on government allocations of funds. So how many cents per dollar is spent on different things. So 20 cents for defense, 18 cents for non-defense discretionary, 30 cents for human resources, past military benefits, 18, current military, 36. Depending on who you ask, you get different numbers. This is if you ask the government, this is if you ask a third-party watchdog group. And look at the difference. Defense, 20%. Defense, down here, past military and current military, over half. So, who do you ask? And who do you trust? I mean, this is the thing. Data's great until you realize who's giving you the data and what data are you getting. Today we're going to get our own. Yeah, we're going to generate our own. But you have to kind of think about where the data is coming from, too. Do you ask the government about their own expenditures? I mean, you'd like to think you could. But then why are there books called Government Racket, A to Z? Which is a book I read a few years ago. It was a book about how much money is over. This was written back in the 90s, so it's hopefully it's been updated. But how much money is spent by the government, and where does it go? And Neil, I forget the guy's name. You can Google it. Neil somebody or other wrote this book because he was fed up with the wasteful spending. So anyway, interesting discussions coming on the plate for us to kind of whittle away as we go through 105. Yeah? How you doing? That was a nice depressing way to start the class. Woohoo! Yeah, we're all screwed, especially our kids. Kidding. We're not screwed. All right, so here's my plan for today. Let me start and stop. That way we have some